Welcome to Stretford, Paddock. I'm Ronaldo Brown, and this is the news at the studio. As you can see, I'm not quite at Old Trafford, so you can't get your customary weather report. But what I can tell you is a very nice day. Nothing but blue skies, not a cloud in the air. And it's not Jay Parker weather. It's very, very warm. It's looking very, very well. And I can see a few in the comments already. Tim Collins says, good mornings. Notch, Ross, I can see you all. But with the transfer window just around the corner, you've got about a week left until the 9th. You know what it's going to be like with United. It's going to be fantasy bingo. It's going to be transfer raffle. And it's going to be one of them where we link to pretty much everyone under the sun. And you've obviously heard news about Varane. You've heard news about Trippier. There's even a little bit of Lukaku news that might actually help us in terms of getting us some influx of money, some extra money that could help us in terms of the transfer window. But without further ado, I'm going to get into the news. The Ronaldo we need. Thank you. I can't even pronounce your name, so I can't even thank you. But what's been reported is by the Cope on Madrid Extra, which is Raphael Varane can leave Real Madrid for 35 to 40 million euros if he does not renew his contract at Real Madrid, which means that his price has been slashed from what was initially suggested. But I was kind of positive about this until I saw the end of the sentence when I saw if he does not renew his contract, because what the tendency is at Real Madrid is that players often say that they're going to leave, they let their contracts run down, they get linked to clubs all over Europe, and then realistically you look at it as if, are they actually going to leave, or is it just them bargaining for a new deal, just throwing their names out there, making it seem like I'm going to be linked to him, I'm going to be linked to them. But in terms of if it would benefit United, of course it would. It's Raphael Varane, my favourite player, as you all know. But he's quicker than the likes of Lindelof, and he's more durable than the likes of Bailly. And he's a perfect partner for Maguire, especially because Maguire, since he's left, we've basically seen that United have took several backward steps in terms of how we've been defending it. We've looked more fragile, we've looked nervy, we've looked like we've lacked leadership. And if we want to kick on and we want a title next season and we want to be more like bigger contenders in Europe, we need to improve defensively. If that's a CDM, if that's a centre-back, I think those are the two positions that we need to be focusing on. But I do believe he could be bargaining for a new deal, and I don't know whether we'd actually get it over the line, because there's been rumours and there's been murmurings that he might actually prefer PSG. I know obviously that's where his money is, where his mind's at is probably financial. He's 28 now, he's still in his peak. And if he can get more money at PSG than he can get at United, I can see him opting for that. It's more of a cakewalk. The league's not as difficult. He won't have to prove himself as much as United. But I think if you partner Varane and Maguire, you're looking at a very, very good and a formidable duo, especially because we've been kind of lucky with the way that Maguire has stayed durable this season. He's played nearly pretty much every game until he was injured. And it's going to be hard-pressed whether he could actually follow that up. So you need to make sure that we've actually got a little bit of strength in depth in that area, so we don't get found wanting. We don't go into finals, we don't go into big games with our best defender out, and then you see what inevitably happens, which is we end up losing and getting a defeat. But I want to see what you kind of think about Raphael Varane. I know that you have heard my opinions on about 3 videos of what I think about him. I thought he's been a really, really good player. He's been really successful. I just assumed that he didn't. I'm not going to repeat it again because I know that he's going to get at me in the comments, so I'm not even going to mention about him and his potential and whatever, because I'm going to agree that he did get there. He's been successful. He's won everything he needs to win. Maybe he does need a new challenge, and United could end up being somewhere that he could end up going to. I know people are in the comments saying that these wages are too high for Real Madrid, these wages might be too high for United. It's up to you and your opinion on that. But if you're getting someone with the pedigree of Raphael Varane for that price, I don't see how you kind of turn that down, really. It's someone that I'd like to see. Some people, Jacob Williams, saying it's his dream signing. I just think if you can get that done, it's going to end up looking like a bargain in the future. He's 28, he's still got many years remaining. And I think he's very much suited in terms of his athleticism to United, and he's suited to the Premier League. And I think he could end up doing very, very well. So hopefully I can get that done. But you know what United are like. We're not the most trustworthy of clubs when it comes to navigating the transfer window properly, and hopefully this changes. But that's it for Raphael Varane news. Obviously, you've seen some of his stats on screen. Some of them, he's not had that many tackles per 90, but that could be because he's always in the right position and he reads the game well. I know he has been compared to Ferdinand in terms of his play style. He's obviously better on the ball than the likes of Lindelof and Bayer as well. And I think it's just definitely an upgrade, and it's an area that we definitely need to look at, especially because we conceded so many goals in the Premier League, and you're not going to win titles with that kind of leakage in the back. But from one defender to a next, you've seen in the past 24 hours that he's come out United could be linked to Kieran Trippier, someone that we know is Premier League proven, and he's now gone on to be European proven as well. He became the first Atletico Madrid player in 95 years. He kind of stepped out of his comfort zone, which I respect him for, and he's done really, really well. It's been reported by Andy Mitten from The Athletic that United believe they can persuade Kieran Trippier to return to England. The club wants more competition for the right-back position. United believe Trippier has the qualities that would come handy against low blocks. And this is something that a lot of United fans have actually realised, and what I've realised, and it's clear to see. A lot of when we're playing at home, when we're playing against teams that sit back, teams can't allow Aaron Wan Bissaka to get the ball on the right-hand side. They leave him in space, and they kind of crowd over or kind of shift over to the left-hand side of the pitch where we do like to attack with the likes of Rashford. Bruno likes to operate in that area. Martial likes to operate in that area when he's fit. Obviously, Luke Shaw and his resurgence, but it's not. I wouldn't call it that. Just he's kind of kicking on to be one of the best left-backs in Europe. And the thing that Trippier offers that Wan-Bissaka doesn't is that kind of quality in the final third that sometimes we've lacked on that side, and it makes our attack seem a little bit imbalanced, if you'd call it that. So I think if you've got someone like Kieran Trippier going down the right, then opposition teams kind of can't shift over to one side and then leave Wan-Bissaka because they know he's either going to give the ball away, he's going to pass square, or he's not going to really hurt you in that area. For all his good defensive ability in terms of his 1v1, I think recently he has slightly improved in terms of his positional play and his defending at the back post, but sometimes he can be found wanting in that area as well. I think if you've got someone like Trippier, he's 30 years old now, to kind of back up or challenge Aaron Wan Bissaka, it could lead to Aaron Wan Bissaka even improving, or just us having another option in terms of someone that's got that delivery. It could be beneficial on set pieces as well. And obviously he's a quality player. I know that he's had a few games where at Tottenham where he was very suspect. Because I remember watching Kieran Trippier at times being a much of a liability defensively as he's good at going forward. So it's kind of like the two opposites in terms of Kieran Trippier and Aaron Bissaka. And I think it gives Ollie the option of adjusting depending on who we're playing. If you're against a low block where you're not going to need Aaron Wan Bissaka's defensive ability as much, then you can play Trippier. And apparently that it would only cost around 18 to 20 million pounds, which is very, very cheap. And that doesn't include the English tax. So I think if you get that done, that's a major coup. I can see it happening. I very much agree that it's one of those where if it does get over the line, it might take about 20 million away from the transfer budget that could be used elsewhere. And that might be something that could work against us if you're trying to fund deals for the likes of big names like Jadon Sancho and Koundé and those players that we've been linked to that will cost us a little bit more money. If you do buy someone like Kieran Trippier for 20 million, and it kind of lessens your kind of budget in terms of funding them deals where you might be 20 million or 10 million short. So it's something that we're going to have to like to see. Be interesting to see. Obviously, United, Trippier's a Bury man, so he's quite a local lad. So it might be beneficial if he does come, and I very much see it happening. Obviously, you've heard it here first, so I'm not going to say I'm ITK, but I think Kieran Trippier to United is something that I can see as a very viable option. I'd like to see what you think in the comments about Kieran Trippier. Someone says that they'd like to give the chance to Ethan Laird. The issue with that is if United want to kind of kick on and become champions and challenge at the top and challenge in the Champions League, you're going to be less likely to put your faith in a youngster, the likes of Ethan Laird and Brandon Williams. You're going to want to play players like Kieran Trippier and Wan Bissaka that have played in Europe, have got that experience and got that ability. I know that we always give opportunity to youth, but we want to make sure now that it's been quite a few years now since we won a trophy, 2017. If we want to win things, we've got to start getting players that are going to improve us instead of making those lateral moves that have been frustrating us for a few years now. Obviously, our best signing in the last transfer window was Cavani, and he came on a free. I think we need to negotiate and navigate transfer windows better as a club, and hopefully we do end up doing that. Oliver Edwards said Kieran Trippier won't be coming as a backup. I did think that. I think with the quality that he does have, it might cause a little bit of right-back controversy. You know that Aaron Bissaka, just like Maguire, has been very durable in his time at United. He's not been injured rarely. And that's something that, obviously, by averages, law of averages, may not continue. So it's always good to have a viable option. And it might allow Aaron Bissaka to get a little bit of rest and not get as much burnout as well. But Kieran Trippier to United, I'd love to see that happen. Tell me what you think in the comments. Let me know. And I think it's something that could benefit us. The set pieces going forward, our home form improves. I think it could be of great benefit. And for the final story I'm going to move on to is a player that used to be here, and that is Lukaku, where it's been suggested that United are set to receive a big cash injection if Romelu Lukaku completes a big money move from Inter this summer. Inter are embroiled in the financial troubles after a tough year, despite ending the domestic season as champions of Italy for the first time since 2010. So the fact that they have won a title, obviously success for them and all that, Conte's left, and they've got a bit of financial issues, they might be looking to sell Lukaku, and the form that Lukaku showed at Inter Milan means that he would go for quite a hefty fee. And it has been suggested that United, it's not confirmed, that United possibly have a sell-on clause that's around 20 to 25%. So, for example, if he did go for the likes of 70, 80 million, it could add around 15 or 20 million to United's transfer budget that we could bring in if he is sold on. It's something to keep an eye on because it could help us fund the deals for the likes of Trippier, Jadon Sancho, Koundé, all these, Varane, all these players that we've been linked to, even a CDM, the likes of Botman. If we do end up selling him, if they do end up selling him, then we get that 20 million in the budget. It could end up getting one more player that could help us in terms of our depth, because strength in depth is important. If you look at the likes of Chelsea, look at the likes of City, they've got 2 players for every position. And if we'd like to see United get to near enough that standard of squad if we are going to challenge at the top. But obviously it's not specified exactly what the percentage is, but if we do end up getting Lukaku sell-on clause money, that's something you've got to keep an eye on. It's not to do with our club, but it's benefiting us in terms of our transfer budget, and we can get money to benefit the others. This is great. People are saying Big Rom is class. He was I think going to Italy where it slowed down a little bit and his athleticism is more of like a benefit in that kind of league in terms of the English league, Premier League, where people are generally more athletic. It's a little bit slower paced in Italy, and Lukaku's managed to benefit from that. So I'd like to say it's benefit us in terms of it's kind of inflated his price tag. So then if he ends up getting sold, we end up getting more money, and then we can fund it for other players that hopefully we end up signing next week onwards, and hopefully United get their transfer business done early, because I did say with the Euros coming around the corner, it's going to make the transfer window even a little bit more hectic, because you get those underground players, you get those subtle players that are kind of under the radar, those diamonds in the rough, so to speak, that they might perform well at Euros for certain teams, and then they get thrown into the mix saying, oh, he could go to United, or he could. Like James Rodriguez a few years ago, you get players that always shine in tournaments, and then they get linked to big clubs as well. So you can expect at least 50 players to be linked to us. Hopefully we do get a CDM, a centre-back, and we do get Jadon Sancho over the line. And if we can get Kieran Trippier and a couple more in, and maybe get rid of a few deadwood as well, I think United are looking strong for next season, and hopefully we can make a bit of a surge further at the top and make further progression and get some success in terms of some silverware. But in terms of the news, that pretty much is it for today. I've spoke about Varane, I've spoke about Trippier, I spoke about possible Lukaku money. We're going to have to keep tabs on things. We can have it all for you here. We're going to be back at Old Trafford tomorrow. We've got plenty of transfer stuff coming on the channel. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm Ronaldo Brown. This has been News at the Studio. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you next time.